Welcome to Frickety Frack, We Do Talk Back. Thank you for joining me in this episode. My name is Patrick and I'm Frack. Frickety Frack, We Do Talk Back is a show where I discuss different aspects of fandom and connect them to lessons in the Bible. So I'm going to be going through one episode at a time of Demon Slayer and connecting it to different lessons in the Bible for each episode. Now, this is my first time going through the anime series, and so I hope you enjoy the journey that you're going to go on with me as we learn more about Demon Slayer and the lessons that we can learn from the Bible from it. And so the name of the show came from my father, who dubbed my brother and me Frick and Frack since we were kids. So why did I choose Demon Slayer? So Demon Slayer has always been kind of on my radar. I've known about it. I've seen the advertisements for the movies that have come out, but since I hadn't seen the show, I never went to them because I'd be like, I'm probably gonna be pretty lost if I watch it, and I didn't want to take that away from other fans who might, wanted to have gone to see the movie, and I took their seat, so I didn't want to do that. So, I've read. I'll say this: I've read the first 10 chapters of the manga on the Shonen Jump app, and I've really liked it. And so at that moment was when I was like, I kind of maybe just want to experience the anime with this, because I saw clips of the show from Death Battle on YouTube, and that kind of piqued my interest a little bit when Tanjiro faced off against Joestar. And then what really kind of put it back on my radar to really try again was a D&D build from Tulok the Barbarian. And I was really intrigued by the character development that they kind of hinted at, but then the animation sequences that they showed on their YouTube channels really kind of, I was like, man, I want to try this. And so I was like, okay, well, maybe I'll just get right into the manga. And I was like, well, let me experience the anime, because I don't really do that all that much, where a lot of the shows that I watch, if their manga's available on the Shonen Jump app, I read as much of the manga as I can. Like Spy X Family, I'm caught up on the manga. My Hero Academia, Black Clover, Dragon Ball Super, and all those different kind of mangas. I'm Bleach. I've read all of Bleach. I'm going through Bleach again, but that's a whole other thing. But so anyway, so I was like, you know what? Maybe let me stop and let me just experience the wonders of the anime. And so let me get into the first episode. So the first episode is entitled Cruelty. And so right off the bat, let's say I really enjoyed the animation. It was top notch. And this is an origin / pilot episode in a way, if you want to put it that way. And the animation was just really above board. I mean, this is what I'm kind of coming to expect from more recent animes, that the style and the is so crisp but so close to the manga style, and just very out there and gorgeous. And so it was just really great. The next thing that I noticed just in this first episode, just as a heads up, as of right now, I'm watching the dubbed version, and we'll see how far I'm able to go in the dubbed version. And if I can't get the dub, then I should be able to watch the sub version, the subtitled. But right now I'm watching the dubbed version and really enjoyed the cast. The voices really fit to the characters, as at least as they're supposed to be perceived. And as I said, I've read 10 chapters in the manga, and so this is my first time watching the show. So the voice acting the acting in it is just really great. And so I enjoy the actors that have spoken so far. Obviously, not very many. So I haven't gotten connected to any of many of the other side characters that are in this show that I'm fully aware of. So I'm looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to seeing where everything goes. And so in this episode, we get introduced to Tanjiro, who is the main protagonist of the show, and his sister Nezuko, or Nezuko, I apologize if I'm saying this wrong. Nezuko, they're brother and sister, and they have a whole family, and the family gets killed by a demon, and all of his family is killed except for his sister, uh, Nezuko, and she was turned into a demon, and that's when we meet Johnny Young Bosch's character. I recognize his voice from Bleach, among other things that he has done, and so he was playing a demon slayer that is trying to kill Nezuko, and but Tanjiro is able to convince him to not do that, and so that starts him on the path of becoming a demon slayer as well. And so in this episode, we get some great acting, very minimal on fight choreography, but it's one of those things where there are certain things that Shonen Jump animes have a tendency to do, and they are used in this first episode. Even though it's the first episode, not a whole lot's being shown about what it means to be a demon slayer and what that's like, and so I really enjoy it, and it's been really great. So let's talk about this first episode and get into the biblical theme, and talking about the biblical theme, I'll be able to explain more about what happens in the episode. So the biblical theme is Isaiah chapter 41 verse 13. It says, "For I, the Lord your God, hold your right hand. It is I who say to you, fear not, I am the one who helps you." Now, in this episode, we get in the very beginning, Tanjiro, as I said, is the main protagonist of the show. He has become the man of the house. His father passed away, and so Tanjiro fills the paternal role to his younger siblings. He's being a big brother, but he's also very much close to, he's the man of the house. And I really kind of love using that term, where he's not necessarily the father, but the best paternal role for the family, since Tanjiro's father has passed away, is him. And there's a lot of love and respect shown for Tanjiro, and so he makes promises to his younger siblings that he's like, oh, don't worry, I'll do this with you when I get back. And they're all really excited about it. They all want to go with him because he's supporting the family by selling charcoal to the local village. And so instead of the younger siblings that were wanting to go with him, he's like, no, it's too snowy, let me go down. And so he does that. He goes down to the village and he sells all the charcoal. He's like, all right, that's good. And so he starts heading back, and someone pulls him in and says, like, no, you can't go out there. There's demons out there. He's like, so he, from what it sounds like, Tanjiro had never encountered a villain or a demon before, and so he's like, okay, well, I'll stay here, and there's nothing that's going to happen to my family. And so he, spends the night, sleeps peacefully, and then as he's walking up there, one of the things that we discover about Tanjiro is that he actually has an acute sense of smell. And so we had this heartwarming moment with his family before he goes into the village, and the village just, also shows their love for Tanjiro, and then he starts smelling blood, and he smells that death has overcome his family, and his family was killed by a demon, except for Nezuko, and so his immediate response is to get her to a doctor. He's like, I can't save anyone else because they're all dead, but maybe I can save my sister. And that's when she wakes up and attacks him. And then that's when Demon Slayer shows up and he comes to kill her. But between both of their actions, he decides to spare her and send Tanjiro on his path to becoming a Demon Slayer. And so what should we as Christians do? Now, with Tanjiro and Nezuko's father being gone, Tanjiro looks over selling charcoal to help his family. They talk about the New Year's celebration. He wants to make sure that they have a good New Year's celebration. And so, but each of us, we can all gain inspiration from Tanjiro's actions. And so I personally, full-heartedly believe that we don't live solitary lives. And so we're going to meet people in our community where there are weaknesses. And so we as connected people should fill in where there are gaps and do this for people in the community. And especially for our families. And so if there is a weakness that needs to be, bolstered, and you're the one that's able to do it, Tanjiro did that. And so we too should do that. And so, Tanjiro expressed his duty to protect his sister. He's like, I can look after her. Just, listen to your big brother. And so we as Christians are called to take care of one another, so that way that they know that, the love of Christ that Christ has given us, we are called to give that same love to those around us. And so, so if we were to actually join with our brothers and sisters in community, I think a lot of problems would be solved, instead of being like, that's not my problem anymore. Instead of, let's follow Tanjiro's example and take up each other's burdens. That's what we're called to do. When we look at the Isaiah passage, for I, the Lord your God, hold your right hand. It is I who say to you, fear not, I am the one who helps you. God is with us, and God has charged us to be with each other. So let's do that. Let's go out and do that. So that's your challenge for the week, that when after you watch this episode, look after your neighbors. And God has called us to take care of one another. So let's go and do that. All right, so how would I rate this episode? Well, like I said, acting, top notch. Animation, top notch. The hook is pretty good. Now it's the full episode before he gets set on the path to becoming a demon slayer. And so the difference between Tanjiro and the demon slayer, their skill levels are very far apart. So one of the things that is difficult for Tanjiro is to keep up. And so the action is very clearly set that the demon slayer is significantly stronger, faster, whatever you might want to call it, than Tanjiro. But Tanjiro is incredibly smart. And so they're very determined to do that. And so with all that in mind, I'm going to give this a 4.5 episode, just because if for a first episode, this one was it was a little bit more of a not necessarily a struggle, but I would have loved to have seen more of the demon slayer prowess, strengths, and things like that, just to kind of give us a better idea. And so that's one of the things that I do love about this episode, is that at the end of the episode, the end credits kind of give us a glimpse of what a demon slayer is like. Like I said, having peripheral knowledge of the show and the manga, I kind of knew what was coming. And so seeing that in that animation, kind of like, okay, so this is what it's going to look like down the road. So 4.5. It's a solid opening, and it leaves you wanting more, and that's a good thing. That's always a good thing, wanting you to come back. And so I would recommend this for those who came to the rating of the show. So I would recommend that. All right, so if you have questions for me about the biblical lessons that I talked about in this episode, or anything else ranging from anime, comics, or just about anything in general, feel free to email me at frickityfracktalkback@gmail.com, or reach out to me on Twitter at frickityf or at frickityfrack on Facebook and Instagram. Feel free to leave a comment below. I would ask that, I want to preface, I don't know what happens in the show beyond chapter 10 of the manga, so I would prefer not having spoilers or anything like that in the comments. So, but if you have questions about what I'm talking about in this, feel free to speak up. But so please rate, review, and subscribe the show. And remember that I love you, most importantly that God loves you, and don't ever give up.